statement of work of those things that we will be accomplishing there. As you will remember, this process began on April 4th of 2018 with the board initiated an order to look at adding law enforcement services to the East Salem Service District. We went through quite an extensive process, and on June 6th of 2018, during a second public hearing, the board order was signed to add public safety to this to the East Salem Service District, and this intergovernmental agreement allows us to interact with them and provide the details on those services. Essentially, the Sheriff's Office will end up assigning 10 deputies to this particular area, and I'm going to let Commander Cass talk about what those 10 deputies will end up doing.
Good morning. Those 10 deputies will provide basic patrol services and then any of the other services that we provide at the Sheriff's Office. We will fund those and all of the deputies, the equipment, the vehicles, everything through this IGA. Pretty much they'll do 7-day-a-week coverage. They'll interact and work with the other deputies that work at the Sheriff's Office now, and then that'll allow us to utilize those other deputies throughout the county as well as working within this district too. But those 10 deputies will be specifically assigned to this East Salem Service District area.
I think it's important within this agreement, Mr. Chair, that in Section 5, obligations under the terms of this agreement, 5.2 begins to explain exactly what our responsibilities are to the district, to clarify everything for them so they know the services that they're getting for the dollars that are being provided. Essentially, that we will provide law enforcement services to the citizens of the district, essentially the Hayesville area and Four Corners, an area that comprises about 31 to 32,000 people. It's interesting to note that if that was actually incorporated as a city in this area, that it would be the second or third largest city in Marion County. And that particular area, those two areas, comprise about 54% of our calls for service. And it's an area that we want to and look forward to providing these additional services to. It'll accomplish two things for us. One, to be able to focus on the needs of those particular areas with dedicated deputies. It'll also allow us to take the deputies that we currently have and provide services in outlying areas that it may have taken us a little while to get to because all of our resources were concentrated in this particular area. It will also set the terms and conditions of when these deputies may leave the district in order to assist other deputies on other calls for services. This is very similar to any of the contracts that we have currently in place with the city of Aurora, the city of Sublimity, the city of Jefferson, and the Chemawa Education School District. At this point, I'll turn it back over to you and ask if there are any questions.
Any questions?
Well, this isn't really a question, Troy, but I was looking, as you said, that Section 5 and 526. I didn't really think about this, but we provide all the services that are available to the rest of the county in this district too. You don't just get, these patrol officers, these cars, but there's a whole list from detectives, community relations, search and rescue, evidence forensics, coroner. So it will certainly be an enhanced service area. Thanks
for pointing that out, Commissioner Bertano. Absolutely. So that's the nice, everything that the Sheriff's Office brings to the table, in all four divisions. It's not just the enforcement divisions, it's the institutions divisions, pro and probation, and our operations folks, both sworn and non-sworn. All of those services come along to be provided to this enhanced district.
Great, thank you.
Questions?
So this is one deputy on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Is that right?
It will be at least one on duty
one.
24/7, at least one, oftentimes more than that.
Okay.
So I just want to, I just want to congratulate you and us for making this thing happen. I mean, we've been working on this for 3-4 years, in fact, I've got it. We're going to do our state of the county, and I was just working on my comments that we're going to increase our patrol force by over 30% with this service district. And I think the important thing is that the response times out in the rural districts are the rural areas are the ones that really suffer as a result of the high volume of calls in this city, basically, unincorporated city. And that this is going to allow the whole county to benefit. And those people that are in the service district will potentially really benefit from this enhanced service. But also, there's still, what we need to really communicate with people is not only are there potentially 2 deputies on 24/7 in this district, but the other deputies that were already out there are still there. So
Absolutely.
they're getting this plus what they were already getting. And I think it's going to be a really good thing for livability, along with the lighting district that we just approved in over the next probably 3, because we were told 10 years, but I think we're going to get it done in 3 years. That area is going to become a place where I think you're going to see we're going to see some pride be taken in the neighborhoods with the policing that they're going to get. So I'm real excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Chair. I think that this is a testament to the leadership at the county level, specifically the board. It's leadership of Sheriff Jason Myers,
Yes.
and it's the community in those areas as well that have stepped up and said, this is what we would like to have happen, and that support was definitely shown as we went through this process. And you talk about community policing, this is that opportunity, and it's not about going in there and looking to make more arrests and do those kinds of things. This is about going in there and being very proactive with the community, working in conjunction with them, trying to figure out what are those problems, and then how do we solve those things on that positive level in a more proactive instead of reactionary situation. Mind you, if those issues come up that we need to deal with that are arrest situations, absolutely those things will happen, but predominantly we want to make sure that we're in there working with the community, working with the school districts, working with the churches and the nonprofits and everything else that comprise those 2 areas to make those community livability issues better for them. And you're right, it allows us to provide even additional services outside these areas to the rest of the county. It's a tremendous day for this to happen for us, and honestly, it's not something that I thought would ever happen in my career here, and to make that happen, to have your guys' leadership with that has been phenomenal, and we're really looking forward to the opportunity to provide these services to these citizens and then the rest of the county.
Great. Yeah, and the 2 substations are one's in a church and one's at Chemeketa, correct? And we're getting those contracts done?
Yes, those are already in place, and we're just in the process of getting those set up for our folks.
Okay. Really good.
Mr. Chair, I think it's also important, maybe he said this, but I didn't hear it, but they'll be these officers, 10, will be providing services for an area that is, if it were a city, be the 2nd largest city in the county.
Yeah.
So it's really great, and it's amazing to me that you've been able to pull this off, because it's not easy to do in this day and age.
We got another one that we're going to work on after this. I'm not going to say it right here on the record, but we're going to continue to enhance what the citizens of Marion County expect and need desperately. So I really appreciate this. This is a great day.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I might add, just the things that have come out of this already. For instance, the young man that designed the patch that will be worn in this community from Adam Stevens Middle School. The vehicles that they'll be driving are personalized for these 2 communities. People will see it. It will resonate with folks, and that will be pretty exciting.
And Mr. Chair, I'd like to add as well, the community reaction to this already. We have seen an uptick in the community meetings and the interaction within the communities. It's going to provide us a great opportunity to work collaboratively with all of those folks, and that's already starting, it looks like.
Good. Well, I know Commissioner Willis has taken a real interest in that East Salem or the East Salem neighborhood service area. So with that and some of the other things that he's going to lead on, we're going to have one of the best cities. Maybe we'll build a bridge that way from, never mind, don't get me started. It's the 2nd, he did say the 2nd or 3rd largest city in the county if it was incorporated. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve and reaffirm the intergovernmental agreement for incoming funds in the amount of $4,943,139 with the East Salem Service District to provide law enforcement services.
And I'll second it.
All right, we have a second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right.
Thank
Gentlemen,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is a proclamation for Health and Human Services. Consider a proclamation designating the month of March as National Problem Gambling Awareness Month in Marion County. And we have a little presentation this morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for having us today. My name is Katrina Rothenberger. I'm the Public Health Division Director for Marion County Health and Human Services. And I'm going to introduce Michael Quayler. He's a health educator in our prevention program, and I will turn it over to him to talk about Problem Gambling Awareness Month.
All right.
Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm excited to speak with you, with all of you today about this. My name is Michael Quayler, and I am a health educator with Marion County's Health Promotion and Prevention team, and specifically with the Problem Gambling Prevention Program. And I'm here to talk to you today, or ask you for a proclamation making March 2019 Problem Gambling Awareness Month in Marion County. Through this presentation, I will outline why this is needed in our community, and also I wanted to go over kind of what our health promotion and prevention team does. So our health promotion and prevention team is with Health and Human Services. Within the prevention services, we have chronic disease prevention, tobacco prevention and education, substance abuse prevention, and suicide prevention, and then problem gambling prevention. And as with many of our services, the problem gambling prevention program does a lot of community-based work connecting with partners to educate and increase awareness. This includes youth education, so we go out to middle schools and do presentations. We also do a middle school art search, which we are just wrapping up now. We have some great artwork from different students throughout the county, as well as we provide technical assistance to teachers. We also raise awareness in the general population, so examples of that would be providing technical assistance to businesses and clinics, social media, newsletter, just to name a few tactics that we work on. We also participate in grants from the Oregon Health Authority. One grant project that we are currently participating in is the Community Readiness Assessment, addressing problem gambling in Marion County, and I'll talk some more about this a little bit later. But the initial results I wanted to mention have determined that the awareness within Marion County is low, and that is why your support today would be very valuable. Problem gambling is a public health concern that impacts many Marion County residents. Like alcohol and drug use, gambling can become a problem. So that would be gambling despite negative personal, social, or financial consequences, or a disordered addiction, which would be a crippling disease recognized by the American Psychiatric Association as a mental health condition. As you can see from this slide, gambling disorder is 4 or more problem behaviors are met, such as hiding or lying about gambling or gambling to escape issues. However, any of these problem behaviors for at-risk gamblers can be devastating to the gamblers themselves and their family. According to estimates based off of numbers provided from the state of Oregon, an estimated 6,900 Marion County residents meet the clinical diagnosis for gambling disorder, and over 21,000 are potentially at risk, showing some sort of gambling problem behaviors. So if you remember from that previous slide, I'll just go back really quick. One of those are met within that at-risk population.
Excuse me, Michael, how do you get those numbers?
Just write my question down.
So those numbers are provided from the Oregon Health Authority. Specifically, we have a liaison who provided those to us. And then, so the numbers that were provided to us were for the entire state, and what we did was we took the proportion of what Marion County is to the state.
Citizens.
Yeah.
So it's an estimate, so.
Yeah, so
And
this is an estimate.
They probably get it from people that call in, or that are actually being treated, or?
So the the numbers specifically for that, I'm not sure exactly
Well,
how.
you could get back to us
Okay.
if it's
Yeah.
Oregon Health Authority that's collecting.
Correct,
the
yeah.
information.
And these are numbers provided directly from them, so.
And just so you know, I'm going to have to leave for not an 8:30 meeting, I guess the clock hasn't been changed, a 9:30 meeting, so I might not be here for your whole presentation. It's not
Okay.
that I don't
Thank you, I
care.
appreciate that. Okay. The other thing I wanted to point out as well is that the consequences for problem gambling are also very alarming. Along with debt and finance issues, problem gamblers have a higher rate of alcohol and drug problems, depression and suicide, productivity and employment problems, as well as relationship problems. Like in alcohol or drug problem gamblers may be addicted, struggling with multiple substances to escape other problems and denying that they might even have a problem. However, unlike alcohol and drug problems, gambling is easier to hide and it is generally perceived as not an issue with most people. Like alcohol and drug problems, gambling is a burden upon the family, straining relationships and negatively impacting loved ones. I have personally spoken with someone who has successfully completed treatment for problem gambling, and she said by far her biggest regret was the pain that she caused to her family. So problem gambling does affect all ages, incomes, and education levels. But there is good news in that prevention and treatment of problem gambling in Oregon is working. According to the Oregon Council on Problem Gambling, despite the increased access and availability of gambling, the prevalence of adult problem gambling has remained the same. Efforts to educate Oregonians appears to be working. So that's a quote from, again, the Oregon Council of Problem Gambling. The Oregon Problem Gambling Resource provides free problem gambling helpline. Bridgeway Recovery in Marion County provides residential treatment. They do some amazing work within our community. Our prevention and our health promotion and prevention team uses multiple strategies to try and raise awareness about the risks and effects of problem gambling. And you might have seen some ads from OPGR as well, Oregon Problem Gambling Resource, on billboards, bus ads, on TV, as well as on the radio. But we need to do more, and we know that because of from the Oregon Health Authority, we have conducted a community readiness assessment. And the community readiness assessment is a culturally competent assessment used to determine community readiness to address public health problem. It is measurable and issue specific. It allows us to meet the community at their level of readiness to increase success of interventions and programs. And according to early results, feedback indicates our county has very little to no awareness of the problem or problem gambling. This slide here, it might be a little small, my apologies if it's hard to see, but this slide shows the stage of readiness for various dimensions of the community readiness assessment. These scores are on a scale from 1 to 9, and as you can see, all of the scores are low. The assessment tells us that Marion County residents have little recognition and knowledge about the issue, and the general perception is that county and specifically community leadership doesn't recognize it as an issue. So overall, increasing awareness is a crucial first step, and to gain your support and make March 2019 Problem Gambling Awareness Month would be a great leap forward for us to be able to prevent problem gambling in our communities and throughout Marion County. Lastly, I wanted to mention that we, with our health promotion and prevention team and our problem gambling prevention program, we are putting on an event with Bridgeway Recovery Services. We're actually really excited to be able to work with them on this. And we invite you to come, and anyone else here to come to that event. It's called All in the Family. It's on March 19th from 11:30 to 1:30, and it includes a panel discussion on the effects of gambling, specifically on the family. We're also going to display local middle school student problem gambling artwork that students have submitted, as well as have information and resources from local vendors. And also lunch will be provided too. So I want to thank you again. I really appreciate your time, and if we have time, I'd love to answer any questions.
So, before I leave, so how are we getting the word out on this particular event?
On this event?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So we are passing these flyers out to different groups that we meet with, different neighborhood groups, partners that we work with. Also, Bridgeway has been reaching out to their treatment services. We've been putting it on our social media pages as well to try and get the word out about the event. And I know that Bridgeway has been planning on doing some radio notifications as well.
Do we ever work with, obviously, the lottery, video poker vendors and have them post this in the bars or taverns where these things are occurring?
We haven't had any of our specific flyers posted there. That's a great question, though, because let's say for video lottery, if a bar or restaurant has video lottery there, they're supposed to have a poster posted, just notifying people that if they do have a problem with gambling, that they can call this number and get the resources that they need. And again, Oregon Problem Gambling Resource is a free counseling and treatment service as well. Marion County is uniquely situated in that we do have Bridgeway Recovery here as well, so that's why it's great to work with them.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to let you take over.
Well, I'm going to criticize you first.
All right. I'll see it face to face.
Well, did you see the score on leadership? Nobody ever asked me what I thought about it, so you had to be the one that scored very badly.
I know.
But I'll tell you the truth, I understand, I've seen from close family that
I've been
the
there.
damages, but yet we're so two-faced about it. We rely on those same lottery dollars to do a lot of wonderful things. It's a dilemma that I don't quite know the answer to, but I had one opportunity in my history where I did try to call a numbers 10, 12 years ago. I got no response. Just put you off. I felt like maybe they were just keeping count that someone called. That's all they wanted to know. So there's another poor individual that knows of an issue. So I'm hoping that the programs you're describing are serious and trying to do something good.
Yeah, and to answer your question, Commissioner Cameron, the information comes from an adult and adolescent prevalence study conducted by Portland State University, analyzed by Dr. Tom Moore. The numbers of individuals in treatment comes from the Problem Gambling Services annual report.
All right,
Mr. Chair,
please.
this problem gambling can affect everybody in business and government. When I was teaching public finance at Portland State, I used as an example a particular city in Washington County where the city manager had a gambling problem and gambled away a whole lot of city money. The librarian there also had a gambling problem, and she gambled away most of the library money. I used that when I talked about how you deal with financial risk. But you read in the papers all the time where somebody in a small business walks away with a whole lot of money because they had a gambling addiction. So it's something to take seriously, and I hope the folks out there listening to this will be aware of that.
Yeah, and something to kind of add on to that is oftentimes with gambling addiction, you see co-use or addictions with other things as well. So let's say substance abuse, and like I'd mentioned, the rates of suicide or depression are higher. So within our health promotion and prevention team, we really try and work together to address multiple a lot of that across the spectrum. So we are fairly collaborative in our office as well. So.
Ready for a motion?
Yes, sir. First of all, I just want to say thank you for being here. Sounds like an important issue, and hope we can make some progress on it. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve a proclamation designating the month of March as National Problem Gambling Awareness Month here in Marion County.
I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then, as we typically do, we'll read the proclamation. Commissioner Willis, would you begin?
I will.
You
I'm
have it
gonna
available easy?
steal his. Well, let's see, I have a written one here somewhere.
Perhaps I'll start.
There you go.
In the matter of proclaiming the month of March 2019 Problem Gambling Awareness Month in Marion County, a proclamation. This matter came before the Marion County Board of Commissioners at its regularly scheduled meeting on March 6th, the 13th, 2019. Whereas the National Council on Problem Gambling and the State of Oregon have designated March 2019 as Problem Gambling Awareness Month, and whereas the health of Marion County residents is of utmost importance to the well-being of Marion County as a whole, and whereas problem gambling is a public health concern potentially impacting more than 21,700 Marion County residents of all ages and backgrounds in all communities and has significant personal, social, health, and financial repercussions, and
Whereas individuals meeting the clinical diagnosis for gambling disorder is estimated at 6,950 adult and adolescent Marion County residents, and whereas problem gambling is estimated to cost Marion County residents more than $41 million every year in higher rates of bankruptcy, loss of relationships, criminal activity, loss of productivity in the workforce, and other mental health and addiction problems. And whereas thousands of Oregonians have successfully sought treatment, are in recovery along with their families, and have benefited from the expertise of professionals in the treatment field who are dedicated to helping people recover from problem gambling. And whereas Marion County is dedicated to reducing the negative effects of gambling for all Marion County residents through balanced policies and effective systems of problem gambling services, such as targeted prevention programs and treatment services. Now, therefore, it is hereby proclaimed that the month of March 2019 is Problem Gambling Awareness Month in Marion County.
Thank you.
the next item is under Board of Commissioners. We consider approval of an order that recommends the denial of 7 Oregon Liquor Control Commission liquor license renewals. Mr. Latimer, your name is on this. Yep.
Mr. Chair, as you know, we have been trying to have the OLCC pay attention to us when we try to rectify problems with those selling liquor in Marion County. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we try. So what you have before us are recommended denials by the sheriff for 2 bars, Giorgio's Bar and Grill in Salem and Remy's Nightclub Sports Bar in Salem. As you know, we've had many issues with Remy's. There are 4 businesses that are recommended for denial for delinquent of property taxes. Elkhorn Golf Course, who's delinquent by $129,000. Hubbard 76 Gas Station in Hubbard, delinquent of $2,000. Los Dos Amigos Hacienda, Salem, delinquent by $1,800, and Salem Gas and Grocery in Salem, delinquent by $11,000. One business is recommended for denial as licensed with as not being licensed with Health and Human Services, and so I would recommend that the board recommend a denial of their licenses to OLCC. We'll see if it does any good.
Questions or comments?
Well, John, could you, you mentioned Remy's, could you just give me an overview of some of the issues you've had in the past at that location?
I think Joe could do a better job of that than I can, but we've had problems with their restaurant and selling the wrong kind of meat, shall I say. We've had problems with noise. We've had problems with rough housing, if I can put that politely, in that bar. It tends to get a lot of calls from the sheriff's office.
Sorry, I just want to clarify. When you say rough housing, meaning there's fights?
Yes, that's right. Well, you had to say it, didn't
All
you?
right. Okay.
There's a lot of problems with Remy's, and it's been that way for a long time. And OLCC does not seem to want to take action.
Got it. Okay.
So we keep trying to deny it, but
So you're really hinting that we haven't had any success at this. We've turned down others before. We're supposed to have ability to have some input, but they don't listen to us typically. Is that correct?
that's, yes, and I've had conversations with the director of OLCC, who I've known for a long time, and he swears they're going to do something about it, but I never see it. Thanks.
All right.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready? Mr. Chair, I move that we approve an order that recommends denial of 7 Oregon Liquor Control Commission liquor license renewals.
And I'll second it. Any further discussion? I hear none. Call a question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, John. Next is under Information Technology. We consider approval of a contract for service with Wire Map Systems LLC for $686,179 for upgrade and replacement of the jail video surveillance system and ongoing maintenance. Scott Emery, good morning.
Yes,
Go
good
ahead.
morning. I'm Scott Emery for the Information Technology Department. We have a request for bringing forward this morning that's in regard to life safety and meeting statutory requirements. And for the summary, I'm going to turn it over to Ken Pearson.
Hi, how you doing this morning?
Good, Ken.
I'd like to have you consider approval of contract number IT 2687-19 with WireMap Systems, Inc., or LLC, sorry, for the replacement and upgrade of the Marion County Jail Video Surveillance System. The Marion County IT Department initiated a competitive bid process to replace and maintain the Sheriff's Office Almsville Jail Facility Security Surveillance Video System. It's a mouthful. The goal of the project was to replace the existing system with reliable and Oregon state compliant video surveillance system for all 5 buildings out at that facility. The system itself is used to monitor the campus activities from the central control system and from the sub-control stations. And it allows the operators to oversee the events such as inmate moving and staff movement, intercom activation, and door control activation. So it's the interlocking and viewing of all the doors that are open and closing. The system covers, the contract itself covers the system design, the installation and ongoing maintenance services, all relating to the central monitoring, the cameras, the video recorders, the networking that runs it, and the long-term video retention requirements for that system. The contract itself is broken into separate design and design build phases lasting roughly 9 months total. And we're seeking approval for a 5-year contract not to exceed $686,179 and are pleased to assist you with any questions.
Do you have any?
I do. It looks like there's a statement here that the maximum cost of total ownership over 5 years is $1.7 million. So do you anticipate, I realize the contract total was $686,000, but do you anticipate other contracts to come up over the next 5 years related to this system?
Not related to this system, no. Matter of fact, this is what we would call a rip and replace of all the video systems inside of the jail at this time. We wanted to mitigate the risk by breaking this into a design build contract. The bulk of the funds are in the first year of actually replacing said system. The residual out years are a smaller dollar amount. The design itself is capped just below $30,000. That gives us a chance to assess the design that the vendors present to Marion County, and we have an opportunity to make any adjustments that are needed at that point in time. So in other words, if we find out that this is something that's going to exceed what we think we have allocated, we have an opportunity to stop the work and reassess. So we don't see any other contracts coming into place. It's pretty much turnkey, and again, we're trying to cap the risk.
So your understanding is that the total cost of this project over the next 5 years is going to be $686,000?
That is correct, including the maintenance obligation.
So can you talk about this fiscal impact statement on?
Fiscal impact statement.
Looks at the
Page.
It's the third page of my packet. Submitted by Camille Peterson, solicitation award transmittal. I'll talk to you about it afterwards.
Great, because, here we go. I think I see the other aspect. Not sure where this, I see the fiscal impact. It says total cost of ownership for 5 years. I'm not sure where this number comes from because I didn't prepare the cover sheet. But we'll certainly go back and follow up on that item because, again, it's out of sync with the information that we provided as the total.
But your understanding is that it's $686,000?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that amount came from.
Where that number came from.
I'll
Okay.
have to check with our contracts folks.
Okay.
Probably not rounding error.
Yeah.
Some rounding error.
If I could, Ken, a couple of things. I see the main deal is storage, video storage requirements imposed by the state, but we've seen that every year, twice a year, we go in and look at it. The guy that sits in front of it, that's not a job I want, but it looks like it gives great access, visibility, completeness of monitoring. So does this new system do anything to help with like picture quality? Has it got HD? Is it even more complete coverage of the jail space?
All
Is there
of that,
anything better that way?
Yeah, it will include all of that. It's better resolution on the cameras, because the ones we have are, we put them in years ago. And better storage, probably better views by the time we do the redesign.
We're, in addition to that, we are leveraging the Washington State Correctional Guidelines. They're helping us actually define what the resolution requirements and the storage requirements are. It's considered to be a very good standard to go by, so we're trying to, rather than just leveraging the knowledge of the vendor, we're trying to use those declared standards.
Okay. I don't have anything else.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the current system is really out of date, and it's very old. They're having trouble maintaining the storage systems, if I can call them that. And
That's generous.
and if we could be in legal trouble if we don't upgrade this.
Okay. Looking for a motion?
Please.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the contract for services with Wire Map Systems LLC for $686,179 for upgrade and replacement of the jail video surveillance system and ongoing maintenance.
All right. I'll second it. Is there any further discussion? One question, when will you be assuming this is approved, when would you be starting work and complete?
We're hoping within 30 to 60 days.
Pretty quick.
We've been working on this now for about 4 months on the contract elements. We know the flow time is 6 to 9 months. Really, they have to get their resources lined up. We are trying to get it done in this calendar year.
Great. Anything else? I'll call a question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Move it right along. The next item's under Public Works. We consider an order approving a partition, case 18011 O'Brien. And Joe Fenimore's here to describe it, and I think it's rather simple.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Joe Fenimore. This item was a request to divide a 9.7 acre parcel in a special agriculture zone into 3 parcels under a Measure 49 approval on property on O'Brien Avenue South. On May 9th, the planning director issued a decision approving the request subject to conditions. The applicant appealed that decision to the hearings officer based on objections to the conditions of approval that were related to roadway improvements needed to ensure safe vehicle access to the property. The hearings officer conducted a de novo hearing on June 21st and on August 29th issued a decision denying the request. In the denial, the hearings officer determined that the impacts of the development did not justify imposing the required conditions. However, at the same time, the application could not be approved if public safety standards were not met. On September 13th, the hearings officer's decision was appealed to the board. After the board accepted the appeal, the applicant hired an engineer who studied the situation and submitted an engineering report that identified mitigation measures that could be used to improve safety for vehicle access to the property. The applicant then met with Public Works staff to discuss the proposed mitigation measures, and based on that meeting, Public Works Engineering revised their recommended conditions. The board held a public hearing on the appeal on February 27th, and after considering all the evidence in the record, including the newly submitted engineering report, the board reversed the hearings officer's decision and granted the partition subject to meeting certain conditions. The conditions are listed in Exhibit B in the order. In addition to the standard conditions for partitions such as requiring a plat, septic approvals, etc., additional conditions require roadway, intersection improvements, along with placement of a limited sight distance warning sign. All these conditions have been reviewed by and agreed to by the applicant. One other item, Commissioner Cameron is not here. He asked about the cost of that sign. I talked to the sign shop. They estimated between $180 and $200 to make the sign and install it. To complete the process, the final order signed by the board is needed. The board has the options of approving the order as written, directing staff to make changes to the order, or take no action at this time. Staff recommends the order be approved as written. Any questions?
Questions?
No, we had a hearing on this issue last time, so
Yep.
I'm good to go.
And I am too, so a motion for approval then, if you would.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve partition case 18-001/O'Brien.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? Hearing, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Joe, for all your work on it, and
Thank you.
making it work for people. The next two will have Brian May describe. The first is consider approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Salem-Keizer School District for the sale of Auburn Park to the district for $375,000. I know Brian will describe this, but this is something we've been in favor of and working towards for a long time, so tell us where we are, Brian.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Brian May, Public Works Environmental Services Division. Yes, before you, we have an intergovernmental agreement with Salem-Keizer School District for the sale of Auburn Park for $375,000. This has been a process in place for now over 2 years. The park itself is located just west of Cordon Road on Auburn Road at 4650. It is directly adjacent to Auburn Elementary School. Salem-Keizer School District has approached us with interest in purchasing the property for expansion of their school. It's been very overran. In conversations, they literally have 11 different lunch periods a day to accommodate just the school kids and trying to get them through their small facility. A little history about the park is the land was purchased from the city of Salem, the raw land, in the late 1970s. It wasn't until 2006 where the site was developed with a playground, picnic table, backstop, soccer goals, and then expansion of the parking lot. This was done with federal land and water conservation fund dollars through the state of Oregon, which kind of leads us to where we're going to with the sale of the property. By utilizing those funds, there's strings kind of attached to how we divest of this property in the future. So we've been working with the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department to ensure that we are stepping through those procedures appropriately to potentially sell the property to Salem-Keizer School District. One of those is a requirement of what they call a yellow book appraisal that assesses a property to meet this federal guidelines. The property was assessed at $360,000. As noted, we're saying that the sale is for $375,000. There's an additional $15,000 that'll be required for assessment of future land that needs to be basically acquired as offset to losing this park. The requirements are that the future park will have to be assessed to meet the same or greater than recreational activities that it's based at Auburn. We do not today have a site to replace Auburn Park with, but we're in that. We're trying to work with the Salem-Keizer School District's timeline for expanding the facility. The Oregon Parks and Recs Department has allowed us kind of a grace us to move forward with the potential sale, and then hold until we get an approved property at a future date. Our intent is not to hold this for a long time, but to get this done as quick as we can to kind of put this at final. We hope to be having a management update or a work session soon to kind of lay out some options for the board about future opportunities and future parks. So,
Brian, if I could, I know we're going to talk about it in the future, but I'm listening to you. Does it have to go for new parkland, or can it upgrade? Because we have a lot of need, as you know, up and
Correct.
down through our park systems.
so it has to be for new parkland, yeah. That's one of the restrictions. We definitely asked that question, wondering if we use it to further develop existing properties, and no, it must be a new park to replace an existing.
Okay, thank you.
And Brian, I apologize, I'm sure you said it and it just went right through my ears. Is it the money that we get has to be spent on a new park? Is that the requirement?
Correct, yeah, so that'd be the $360,000. The $15,000 piece covers up to 2 basic Yellow Book appraisals if we need additional properties, multiple properties to divest the $360,000.
And does the area have to be the same? So it looked like this was about a 4 acre.
Yeah, just a little over 4 acres. No, it just has to be of similar nature. The feeling we have today is we'll probably be able to acquire more acreage for the amount of money we do have to spend.
Okay. And is there a hard timeline on when we have to have the new park by, or we just have to work well with the administrative agency?
So our understanding is no, but there are some strings attached that we would not be able to apply for additional grants to further invest in our existing parks program until we're kind of off the bad list of not completing this transaction. So we'll definitely be motivated to finish this.
Got it. Okay.
I hate to dwell on this. I got 2 places in mind already. I'm not ready to announce them. But I don't think it'd take $375,000 to secure them.
No.
Can some of that dollar go to the then development of the new grounds?
No, it has to be
purchase?
just for the
Be
purchase.
parkland.
Yep.
Well, that makes it harder, but
We've asked
we'll-
that question multiple times, just
Have
to
you?
assure. So, yep.
Oh, I'm tempted to tell you, but let's go on.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the intergovernmental agreement with the Salem-Keizer School District for the sale of Auburn Park to the district for $375,000.
I'll second the motion. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, yesterday at the chamber lunch, the superintendent came up to Commissioner Cameron and myself and thanked us profusely for doing this, because they were really running into a problem with that school, and they need more land to expand it. So she's very happy, and I think the things we can do for the school district are important.
So now that you promised something, I feel like changing my vote. No,
I didn't promise a
I'll
thing.
tell you how bad I am. We have State of the County. I mentioned it already. This is probably breaking all the rules. So, did we have a motion, or could we? We did?
We did.
All right, it's moved and seconded, I assume. So we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Brian. Motion passes. Next item is consider an order approving the adoption of changes to the Solid Waste Management Advisory Council, SWAMAC, to combine the bylaws and the handbook into one document. Go ahead, Brian.
So, as commissioners, you're aware that our Solid Waste Management Advisory Council was established in February of 1989 to basically make recommendations to the board about waste reduction, recycling, composting, and disposal of waste within Marion County. The bylaws are reviewed at a fairly regular basis with the council, and we are now on revision number 11. So what we have before you is a combination of our bylaws and our handbook, because what we did find is even though our bylaws had been embedded in our handbook had not been revised in its entirety. So we had an old bylaws noted in there, so the intent is to combine the two. That's probably the biggest piece of moving this forward for you today. In addition to that, we had not set an exact month for the meeting to elect the chair and vice chair, so we've now set that as the month of May so that we can consistently move that forward in the future. And also with bringing on new members to the council, We had kind of a very difficult process of requirements of multiple meetings and et cetera to become a member of SWAMAC. We've reduced that to just basically having them attend one meeting. We'll go through the nomination cycle after the application, and we'll get them on hopefully by the next meeting. So we're trying to streamline that process to get more members. I do want to thank our bylaws subcommittee. They spent multiple meetings on this on their own time to make multiple edits and revisions, mainly to formatting. This document was almost as if it had been typewritten, to give you an idea how a lot of this had been formatted. And definitely want to thank Stephanie Rosentrader, our department specialist, for bringing it into the new era of format and ability to reference and have it on our website for everyone. So you see a lot of red line edits, but it's primarily formatting issues. But we'd like to have approval to move forward. The council approved the subcommittee's recommendations on this January 22nd meeting. And I throw in a plug, our 16-member council, we currently have 4 openings. 2 are what we call our citizens at large, so any resident within Marion County can apply for those. We have a Chamber of Commerce position, so any representative of any of the jurisdictions within Marion County can apply. And then we have a community organization, or kind of a nonprofit position that's open. So we are definitely more than welcome to accept applications at this time.
Okay.
All right, questions?
Nope. Thanks for your work on this.
You bet.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the adoption of the changes to the Solid Waste Management Advisory Council to combine the bylaws and the handbook into one document.
And I'll second it. Any further discussion? I just have a comment, Brian. Just in the last couple of months, I've become the liaison with the SWAMAC committee, but it's one that I've been following all my career since it first was constituted, probably in the late or early 80s. I think they've worked hard, and they're knowledgeable, and they're a real asset now to the county as we enter into many questions having to do with solid waste. So I'm real happy that they're there and what they know, and would like to get those other seats filled up. Anything else? Then I'll call a question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Again, thank you, Brian.
Thank you very much.
That's our last item on the agenda this morning. I'm going to give the new guy a break and read the places where the board will be today, or this next week. The first item is one that I'm a little excited about. It's at noon. It's a 2019 Marion County State of the County presentation. It'll be at Broadway Commons, second floor, 1300 Broadway Street Northeast in Salem. Tomorrow morning, 7:30, Kaiser Marion County meeting at Sherry's Restaurant, 4998 River Road North in Kaiser. Thursday, a work session, Marion County Benefit Plan Rules, document updates. That'll be in the Silverton Conference Room, 5th floor, 555 Court Street, Salem. Thursday at 10 o'clock, just following that, a juvenile culinary program report. That'll also be in the Silverton Conference Room at 10 o'clock. Monday, the 18th, 8:30, calendar review, Silverton Conference Room. That's followed Monday, the 18th at 9 o'clock with management update. And then at 12:30, a long one, 12:30 to 5 o'clock, a Marion County Housing Authority tour. It'll depart from the Board of Commissioners office, 5232, Suite 5232, 5th floor, 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem. On the 19th, Tuesday at 9 o'clock, we have a policy analyst interviews in Silverton Conference Room. And then we start going out to the community and hold our forums. The first is at noon on Tuesday, the 19th. It's a county community forum at the Mont Angel Public Library, 290 East Charles Street in Mont Angel. Wednesday, the 20th, a regular board session at 9 o'clock here in the Senator Hearing Room, 555 Court Street. And then another one of the community conferences, this is at Wednesday, the 20th, 11:30, the Woodburn Chamber of Commerce Forum Lunch. It'll be at the Metropolis Event Venue, 347 North Front Street in Woodburn. I know that's on the second floor. It's a nice new facility. So, anything else this morning?
Just my undying gratitude for giving me a day off of reading the calendar.
Oh, yeah. See?
Every once in a-
We have a leadership issue. You know that. All right. Well, we do have our state of the county, and I'd like to prepare a little bit. We have a couple hours. I think things are going good, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the day. So with that, would you? Just go ahead. We'll call this meeting adjourned.